celebrate 58 years since it gained independence from British rule. And you're watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we are broadcasting from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue, and also we have our crew at Banjul at the McCarthy Square, where the President of the Republic, President Adama Barrow, will preside over the celebration of the 58 years of nationhood under the theme Democracy, a Recipe for Peace and Development. Well, joining me in the studio is my colleague, Julda Njai. Julda, good to have you.
Thank you, Ali.
Happy Independence, by the way.
Happy Independence to you too. And of course, happy Independence to the entire Gambian people from wherever you're watching us from. We are saying happy Independence to you. And it's good to be back on the studio to talk about Gambia at 58.
And imagine, we can't have a better guest for such a day, other than our uncle, a father figure, a mentor to most of us, a veteran journalist, a historian, Uncle Tijan Masani Sise. Welcome to QTV and happy Independence, Uncle.
It is a pleasure being here, and thank you, Aleu. Thank you, Julde. Today is a very historic day in this country. Takes us back to that gloomy Thursday morning in 1965 when the Duke of Kent, who was representing Her Majesty the Queen, said, and I quote, "Mr. Prime Minister, I have on the command of the Queen to hand over the instruments of independence of the Republic of the Gambia to you." The crowd went wild. The Union Jack was lowered
For the last time.
and then the red, white, blue, and green, so beautifully designed by Paolo Tomasi of 72 Lehman Street, was hoisted. And a very veteran Gambian, a great veteran Gambian journalist had the call that day, and it was Sidi Jammeh from the World Bank in Washington. And Sidi said, the Gambian national anthem is being played for the first time, and it is derived from the tune Fudi Kabadumbea, somebody who died in martyrdom, so that you and I can be free today. But Ali, like I said, when the Gambia agitated for independence, eyebrows were raised in the international political arena, because some cynics did say it will not be a viable political entity. Others went to the extent of dubbing the Gambia the birth of an improbable nation. Now, Alhaji Sadauda, who is the architect of independence, on that day, when he received those instruments, he said, and I quote, "The Gambia, though small, may not be able to offer a lot in material science, but will be able to demonstrate to the world how a group of people with different ethnic origins and religious backgrounds can live together in peace and harmony." And that has been the foundation of our democracy. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Well, if you're going to school and you're doing history, well, it's a lesson there for you as you have a historian, a veteran journalist, Uncle Tijan Masane Sise. I mean, working I mean, I guess on QTV, di len dalalat fi di len xamne tay la di Gambia di magal depuis amé bopam ci li di independence tay la 58 years since Gambia bu mu jëlé amé bopam from British rule tay loolu ñaka di magal fi ci réew mi comme ni ma ko waxé rek ñena ci QTV di force private station ñu ngi fi from our studios on Kairaba Avenue waaye nag am nañ crew tam mi nga ne moo ñu nekkal Banjul suma collègue Ansumana Eso Ñaase ak ñoom Bakchen ñoom tam ñu ngi fa xam naa dinañu indil anything loo xam ne mu ngi jógee foofu ca Banjul comme na leen ko nekk gisee seen screen si rek loolu moo nekk di am fale ca Banjul fi nga xam ne du yàgga rek ak nga ne moo nekk njiitu réew mi di His Excellency President Adama Barrow dina ñëw pour jiite li nga xam ne moo nekk celebration bi bari ngol mel be QTV jube kan ngal bismillah jang kutenke albe QTV jube kan Gambia la first private TV station, and we bring you live broadcast bila mu Gambia ba jura kan kabrea fansoto from tuba wala manso bila be kala sanje tan lol ni say kabring Gambia fansoto comme alba je kan ala skin to nyamin QTV lam live influente bedna studio jang Kairaba Avenue bari na team do fana be Banjul le na colleague Ansumana eso nyasi kara Bachen wolu e be Banjul fanan comme alkaje nyamen or those are beautiful images na molle be je Banjul wala ba o those images na natikan allié musidɓe wonɓe ndata QTV bisimilla ɗo hannde pour min gandam kana ko ɗum on live broadcast hannde noon Gambia no juurade biraɓe keeɓi koye maɓe jungo tubakoɓe hannde wonto duuɓi caɓanɗe joyi he jeetati bila Gambia heeɓi hoore maɓe hannde noon mboɗo wonde e Julde Ndiaye my colleague in the studio, and of course like I said, I mean we can have Julde a better guest than
exactly.
than Uncle Tidiane. Uncle Tidiane, so ñu ko mëne bamtal ci olof rek li nga doon taarix bi naka la dooree wax nga wax yu am solo Uncle.
juróom fukki at
tey ba si jàngal xale yi
ak juróom ñett ca gannaaw
waaw
doomi réew mi dañu jël li nga xam ne mooy seen coobare ci réewi Gambia dàqa taxawaay gi ko noppa yu weex yi taxaw woon jaarale ko ci manko ak yoon ba indi réew mi fi nekk nii bon tey dañ war a sant yàlla tax na ma fàttaliku indaanaan yoo xam ne bi ma nekkee ndaw dama leen doon topp ci rajo bi muy alaaji Mansour Ndiaye alaaji Hassan Ndiaye alaaji Laalo Samate yal na yàlla seedal seen ak man ki ma jàngal dénk ma xam-xam muy Sol Ndiaye ci gàttal rek li fi xew tey lu yiw la
li lim daa fàttale ko Uncle xoolal images yi
su ma boone def ko rek ni ko alaaji Mansour Mbaye ORTS daan waxee rek yaram ndaw na waaye bi ma gisee léegi parade commande bi yuxu dafa delloo suma xel ci gannaaw
mooy lieutenant colonel Abdoulaye Mboup
ndax fu ñu ñaaxee buur ñaax nañu fa imaamam kan mooy baayam ñu ne alaaji bu Mbuub doon magistrate ci réew mi kooku kan mooy doomi ndeyam ñu ne alaaji Abdoulaye Mbuub miñ ko tuddee 1981 bi saasaay si ñëwee ci réew mi alaaji Abdoulaye Mbuub dafa bokkaak dem si yàlla Mouhamadou Lamine Sakho ak Assane Moussa Camara sàmm réew mi ba jàmm del si waat dam fekk baax ana muslimel dàqa saasaay bon tey buñ gisee doomam di jiite fii soldaar si tey
nekk naanaan
lii rim ci suuf si lu ñëw la te lu sell la kii imaamam jàmbaar la ñu woon te he is a pilot by profession, by the way, and he was trained in Ukraine. He went to the Staff College in Jaji and Ghana and the Spartan College of Aeronautics.
That's the Staff College in Nigeria.
Yes,
in Nigeria.
And he got his flight instructor license from the Spartan College of Aeronautics in Oklahoma. He also went to Fort Benning. Like what I just said in Wolof, he is named after a hero. And this is a day when we celebrate heroes. In 1981, using the very word Sadauda used, when our country was held by the throat with an intention to choke it to death, Alhaji Abdoulaye Mbuub rose to the occasion. Alhaji Abdoulaye Mbuub, with a group of police officers and the then field force, barricaded themselves for more than a week, defending the territorial integrity of this country, which is one of the fundamentals of our security outfits. So it is indeed unique and sober to see Abdoulaye Mbuub, and foog rek ma gaaral ko ni ko maama mi daan tagee
dafa am solo
ma ne ko Mbuub gaaraanu Mbuub tubaab ngaari Kumba Sek ngaari Metta ak ngaari Binta doomi jàmbaara fi
moo nekk noonu ko nga nekk yées kooku moo nekk lieutenant colonel Abdoulaye Mboup moom moo nekk parade commander bi comme noo leen ko déggee sun oncle sun papa sun mentor I mean veteran journalist historian Tidiane Massane Cissé moo ñu nekk fii ci studio bi tey ñu war a am waxtaan bu neex as far as Gambia's independence is concerned. Julde, coming back to you, I mean significant day for this country, 58 years of nationhood. What's your take?
58 years is not 58 days, and certainly it's not 58 weeks. So Gambia has gone a long way. You know, in 1965, when the Gambia, you know, was independent, when Gambia took control of our territory, our destiny, that is the time us as a country we started saying that, okay, we don't want any more British rule. We want to rule ourselves, and we want to take charge of our own destiny. So that means a lot. What were we saying at the time? We said, okay, we are going to have our own currency. At the time, we said we are going to have our own land, and we are going to distribute this land according to our wishes and desires. We are going to have our own rule, and this is the kind of rule that we want to really have in this country. And that is, I think that is very, very important, for the fact that we took ownership of, you know, Gambia back after so many years from the British rule. After 60 years of British rule, we were able to take the Gambia. So it means a lot. It's a day of reflection. And of course, it's a day where people, you know, should think back 58 years ago. You know, where are we as a country? What have we achieved? You know, they are our you know, independence heroes. The promise that they made, or what they stood for. Are we able to achieve that as a nation, as a people? Where are we currently when it comes to the economy, when it comes to the education? It's important to note that when Jawara was president of this country, his ministers, few of his ministers were graduates then. Uncle Cisse will help me with that. Exactly.
If we go wrong anywhere, he will bring us to
the
facts, because I know he's loaded. He is loaded.
Exactly.
He a lot of background.
Few of his ministers were graduates. As a result, you know, he had few of the British people here to actually help in the governance of the country.
Sometimes they hala doy war way han man oncle ñu jégal ci any mistake buñ def rek ci wali tarik bi parce que xam nga ñun ay ndaw lañ waye yam mom yag nga fi xam nga lu bari lo xamne ñun xamuñ ko sometimes people tend to distort the facts wax la lo xamne mu naan demewut nonu waan man yow tay di nga mëna leral lu bari comme mako waxe rek yi nga xam ne ñi dem school ina ngi def history bu nga xam ni fi tarik Gambia Independence Day bi kon tay han man war nga na jël sen pen ak book you know di binda parce que tay mom lecturer ngeen am fi professor ngeen am fi ko xamne xam na lu bari ci wali tarik Gambia well do the just a man of viewers we are also broadcasting on Q Radio on 103.3. I mean, for those who cannot have access to TV at the moment, and also streaming on our Facebook page and YouTube as well at QTV Gambia. Like I said, it is Independence Day here in the Gambia. The Gambia is celebrating 58 years since it gained independence from British rule, and the President of the Republic, President Barrow, will preside over the celebration at the McCarthy Square. The exact venue where the Union Jack, like Uncle said, was lowered for the last time on 18 February 1965, and the Gambian flag hoisted, marking the independence of this tiny West African nation. Like I said, it's just less than 3 million people, Uncle. Let's look at the journey, Uncle. I mean, it wasn't a smooth journey. It wasn't a smooth journey.
If you go deep into Gambian history, you hear about the Marlborough House talks in 1961 in July, when you had the likes like Sheriff Sekuba Sise, Aman Soli Kanji, Kalilu Singate, Mamadou Kadi Cham, Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, P.S. Njai, Idi Dawour Njai, Keba Walifun, Emi Jallo, Rachel Palmer for Civil Society, the Reverend J.C. Fai, went to defend the case for independence. So it's been a long journey, but this journey started well before that. If you heard of the Balangar incident, the father of this nation, Edward Francis Small, when he was posted in Balangar and rang a church bell for watch night service and was taken on by a British merchant named Walker, and a confrontation ensued and they fought. And he was transferred from there to Sukuta. And he criticized Reverend Toys over there, and he was dismissed. And that day, the Gambia's movement to independence started. And it is also important to note, before anybody was agitating for self-rule in sub-Saharan West Africa, Edward Francis Small spoke in Ghana in 1920, talking about self-rule. So our country is very much in tune with the struggle and the Renaissance movement in West Africa.
You talk about the Marlborough talks. How did it went? Because you are there to defend a case. What was the outcome of that Marlborough talks?
Well, in 1964, we got the Independence Act, and subsequently independence came in 1965. So it was successful. The Gambia presented a case that we are able to manage our own affairs and we can move our own nation. Of course, as I alluded to earlier in my opening salvo, there were cynics and eyebrows that were raised. But the sons of this nation, Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, led a group of men and women that rose to the occasion, faced the political vicissitudes, and enhanced the political evolution of this country. And that is exactly what we celebrate today. And it takes me back to those days as a young broadcaster standing next to my mentor, Solinjai, and hear that inspection tune, DK Sabari, one that was highly emotive, one that suggested diligence, fortitude, tolerance, and patience. That was the man, that was his mantra, and that is why the Gambia is the center for democracy and human rights.
Gis naa ne keroog bi ñu dajee Banjul si parade bi rehearsal bi am na benn bu gaay tëgga nga ne sa maam lañ doon tëgga noonu.
Bintang Bolong Dala Masane Cissé moo jur suma papa. And you know his story, he of course plied the creek, and he was a trader, and he was my father was his only son, and for a long time it's been one of the inspection tunes. But today, according to the bandmaster, Captain Mahmoud Koli, who I know very well as far back as 30 years ago as a young bandman, they will be playing artillery songs from Turkey, and one that, of course, gives thanks to God Almighty for all the blessings and graces He has given to this nation. As you can see, it looks like they are standing in attention, and gradually the VIPs will pull in.
The heads of security is
of course, Yankuba Drame et al. Will come in.
IJP Sanyang, I mean, the immigration boss, Sedi Toure, I mean, and others, heads of institutions. Of course, the diplomatic corps will also be there. So yes, Julde.
Okay, Uncle Sise, like you said, the road to independence started way back in the 1920s. Why did it took the country so long to gain our own independence?
Well, I'm going to try to plead the fifth here, but in my own opinion, the British did not think we were ready to manage our own affairs. As honestly, you can see, there's not a whole lot that was done in this country by them. So that is my personal opinion. And this was why, you know, eyebrows were raised when sons of this nation, you know, that were equipped with the requisite attributes to run this nation, clamored for nationhood. And it took so long. And even after 1965, we were a constitutional monarchy until April 24th of 1970. That is when we became a republic. And
that is why others are arguing that, in fact, the real independence should be in 1970 instead of 1965.
That's debatable.
Well,
it's something open to debate anyway. People have their...
It's up for conjecture. But that is when we actually had our own currency, the Dalasi. I remember as a young kid, the Asikos were beating Dalasi Day all over Banjul. And then Sadauda became president. He was a prime minister. And then he was president. And this is why, up to this day, the way that it is celebrated usually is the day that they confer insignias on worthy Gambians that have contributed to this nation. The president is the head of the chancellor.
I meant to understand the deputy CDS is now arriving. That's Mamadou Cham. is now arriving at the Makati Square in Banjul. And I'm so any moment from now, the CDS and other heads of security institutions will also arrive. We're expecting the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Deputy Speaker, and of course other senior government officials and members of the diplomatic corps. Of course, I mean, like I said, the march past will also include students from schools within Banjul, I understand, and other groups as well. Uncle, I mean, you talk about the role of Edward Francis Small. I mean, his first address in 1920 in Ghana, then the Gold Coast, now Ghana. We understand 2 years later, he established his newspaper called the Gambia Outlook and the Senegambia Reporter. That's where the struggle for independence actually started. The role of the media, the role of the press.
Well, in 1928, he also started the Battles Trade Union. Started educating Gambians. Now, we also have to realize that we had also the likes of J.C. Faye, the I am Gaba Jahumpas, Sheikh Omar Faye, because then you had the legislative chambers. He was actually elected to serve in the legislative chambers. And other people that served in the legislative chambers, Sir John Mahoney, who was the father of Louise Antoinette Jai, the first woman minister in this country, Abdou Wali Mbaye, Alaji Sheikh Usman Jang, and Sheikh Omar Faye. These were the people in the legislative chambers that represented us in the midst of colonial whites. Now, he also won the first elections, Edward Francis Small, beating I am Gaba Jahumpa, and Sheikh Omar Faye. So he's left a mark in this country, and I just hope that we are able to arm future generations with the rich history of this country, because it's important. Like the coat of arms was designed by a man named René Patin. How many people know that? The national anthem was written by Virginia Howe and put into music by her husband. And these are important things that should be part of our civic education curriculum, because nobody knows who Palu Tomasi is. The biggest identity of our nation, our flag, the man who designed it, nothing is named for him in this country, as far back as 58 years. Wow. I think that's grossly inappropriate. Exactly. And I think the people, the competent authority, should forward to the Chancery of the Gambia for him to be honored posthumously, and celebrated alongside the René Patins and the, we had jambars in this country. We had jambars.
So,
okay, Julia,
Uncle Sese, after 58 years of nationhood, of independence,
Julia, it seems the CDS has also arrived. Yakuba Drame, the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, has also arrived at the Makati Square. Well, those images you are seeing are live images from the Makati Square, where any moment from now, the President of the Republic, President Barrow, will arrive to preside over the celebration of the Gambia's 58 years of nationhood under the theme Democracy, a Recipe for Peace and Development. And after I will engage Uncle as to how timely and important the theme of the celebration is. I mean, Julia.
So, like I was saying, after 58 years of independence, what can we reflect on as a nation? And do you think the way we are commemorating the day every year, is this the way that we should after 58 years?
One of the things that Sadauda said in 1965 when he received the instrument, he said independence was not the proverbial availability of milk and honey. And we will have to work, we will have to sweat, and come together as a nation to build our country. It's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming, but gradually we will get there as a country. And the unity, the tolerance, and the religious tolerance, and how we celebrate our diversity, I think is laudable, is commendable, and it is our biggest achievement as a country. And one of the reasons why the Center for Human and People's Rights is in the Gambia is because of our track record, which was laid by the man I dubbed the Prince of Peace, Sekou Almami Jawara, the man from Barajali.
Well, that looks like the Chief Justice Hassan B. Jallo is the one you are saying there. I mean, he has also arrived at the Makati Square. Mbadi ngol melbe QTV je ko hanisa en kali kalamata ko albe QTV le jube kam bidung Gambia bala independence le jura kan kabre a fansoto tubabolu bulu bilamu sanji tan lolo ni say kabri Gambia fansoto bimbe wala jura kan banjul sahto kono dula mel ka te mela na banko nyaton ko president Adama Barrow abina putna kanji pour que mabe nyen jura rola membe kering Makati Square studio kono jang nina collègue le be jang julde njay aning Mr. Fono uncle, a veteran journalist, a historian. I mean, you know, he's a mentor to most of us. I mean, Uncle Tijan Masane Sise, I'm not a mom, the Jangalu Bari, because I'm a Maraman, I'm not sort of I'm la fita. I mean, Uncle, let's look at the role of the press leading to independence. I mean, we read that it wasn't as easy as many would have thought. You know, the likes of Edward Francis had a lot of challenges against the British. At some point, he even had to go on exile in Senegal, from where he was even trying to smuggle some of his outlook papers to the country, highlighting the plight of Gambians, even sending some copies to Sierra Leone and even Ghana and even London. The role of the press.
Well,
how wide press be?
Well, you know, it evolved.
Yeah.
It evolved. And over time, you know, the Gambia Outlook was one of the leading newspapers in the Gambia. My first article ever was published in the Gambia Outlook in 1977. Now, you had the Gambia Onward. Of course, the Gambia News Bulletin was there. There was the Torch.
The Gambia News Bulletin, that was the one which was owned by PPP?
No, that's the Gambia Times.
Okay, Gambia Times.
And there was another one.
Which one was edited by the late Batrawale? I think he was.
I actually forgot that one. Yes, and there was another one being edited by Ngaj Thomas. So they were, and the Nation by Winston Dixon Colley, which was a very, which was a very, you know what I mean. But I think there was no interference with the press under Sadaura Kairaba Jawara.
I mean, under the British before we actually gained independence.
Of course, I mean, look at our country and the way we were being treated. Just go back to what happened in Balangar, the Balangar incident, and Edward Francis Moore stood against that, and he saw many incidents like that in this country, and he was not having it. So if he had to go to exile and putting his papers out here in the country and other nations so that people can know the plight of a nation. And this is why I've always called him the father of this nation, because of what he did, the sacrifices he made to lay the foundation stone for a younger generation to assume the mantle of responsibility and lead this country to independence.
So nare just to nga hol jaar si lindo independence be bu momé sun bopa ak légui yow fokk nga lu taxone ñom sa dawda jok he pour ñu mom sun bopa so fatulay 58 years nga hol Gambia fu mu tollu ak fu mu nekkon fokk nga ne mën nañu wax ne Gambia mom nañ sun bopa we are independent. Politically people will say we are independent, but economically ñu bari ndel lam we are still not independent. Yow lu sa xalaat
ñu delu gadaaw rek ni xalé yi day bakke kaddu président fi liggéey jot na Gambia am na boppam ñu bay malo bay waxa ak waaye li nga wax dafa am solo réew mi suñu réew la ni réew mi di demee kanam mooy ñu jàppante te bugg a liggéey liggéey mooy yóbbu réew kanam jàppante bi daf ci am solo ndax suñuy maam doolu nañu daan def ndax biñ jëlee réew mi dañ ko jaarale ci manko ak yoon ba jox xale yi réew mi te boo seetloo bañ jëlee réew mi ñoom it def nañ li nga xam ne mooy seen coobare ndax ñun ñëpp dañuy romb rek dinañ dem waaye Gambie mooy des ndax suñuy maam dañ dem ñoom Alaaji Saa daw dem nañ keneen ak keneen dina dem waaye réew mi mu ngi fi bon li am solo mooy rek ñu jóg takk suñu ndiga ni ko pipi bi daan waxee ci jamono teesitoo ñu liggéey suñu réew ndax loolu moo ëpp ak lépp sax réew mi nag am naa yaakaar ne ni mu meloon ñaar fukki at ñetta fukki at ca gannaaw passé na ko waaye benn tey ñu ngi raam te raam egga li la faa eggal mooy kattan ndax bu ma doon raamee fii ba fële du ma amul kattan du ma fa egga kattan gi nag mooy lan ñu booloo nekk benn raxas xol yi doon doomi Gambia ni ko suñuy maam daan defee ndax ñoom dañ mànkoo woon xamuñ xaajaale beeg xuloo beeg yàqante beeg dafa bari ci réew mi te mooy dëgg
bari na fi waaye xam naa ne Jude tey moom tey school la tey moom waaw tey
university la
exactly waa uncle soo naree xool amin dégg ne time boobu noonu even ñu sax biñ nekkee xale suñ naan independence bi ngay ñëw cawarte bi kontaante bi nu mu daan mel daf lu bari dafa soppeeku léegi uncle
waaw waaye
xam naa tey bi nga ewo nga patleku at yu passé yooyu noonu seen suñu daan independence ni nga daan saware uniforme US daala US
waaw wecceek bu bare am ndax rehearsal bi keroog biñ fa tasee ma dem pour dem suma interview si school si dañ daan dem rehearsal boobu sax dañ ko daan yàkkamte ndax buñ paree dañoo daw school ñibbi independence bu amaan am na fuñ daan ooyee Contact Bata Hope Street moo daan liggéeyal school si yëpp sa uniforme bu ees sa yaay jóg xale yu jigéen yi ñu ngi leen a stretch school yi di compete match dañ daan wax nag ne Mohamedan ñoo daan win ndax Mohamedan niñ daan solo waaye school si yëpp yi nekk Banjul yeneen school si yi nekk ci goxi kombo bi dañ daan jël indi leen waaye lu rëy la daan nekk bu jeexee ci ngoon si dañ daan am athletics meet primary schools waaye tëgga sabar yeeg gese yeeg képp a ci nekk ci biti mu neex be waaye ni ma gis dafa wécceeku ndax ca booba education department dañ daan bàyyee independence bi bu passé mbiri soldaar yeeg protocole be yooyu lépp lu jëm ci independence bi rek education department lañ ko daan bàyyee mu tax ma bugg a tudda ñoom Anthony Ellard Blaine ñoom Mr Cole ca jamono ñooy woon directeur
waaw nekk suñ Mr Cole fii de QTV de Mr Cole la
yaa ngi tooñ suma jarbaat bi
waaw léegi def mel ne affaire bi is more like dañ ko militarize celebration bi yëpp soldat yaa des jiitu police yi xam nga xale school yi toppa si yow si sa xalaat foo nga ne war nañoo mën a indi waat lu fi daan am ba suñu independence koo xam ne ku nekk xam ne independence bi ngay ñëw yow foo nga ne war nañ ko mën a defaat
maam yi dañ daan wax ne am bukki dafa yomba waaye bàyyi xalama jafe xam nga kenn mësu da jàpp bukki buy xalam moom nag amoon nañ ko fi moo rëcc foog ñu utiwaat ko waaye comme rek ñun ñëpp lañ fi wax rek buñ mankooyee déggoo ci kàddu te juboo lépp loo xam ne dañu ko daan def démba mun nañ koo defaat amul dara loo xam ne loo bëgg a jàpp yàlla suñu borom mi ñu sàkk ñun ñëpp sàkk àddina ak li ko wër munuñu cee jàppale ñu def ko loolu dafa am solo ñu boole ci yàlla fii réewum ragal yàlla la ndax tey du ñu door fii dara te tudd ñu borom bi delloo ko njukkal gërëm ko ci yëpp yim jox réew mi gannaaw loolu li ñuy def rek mooy ñu bokk liggéey Saa Dawda dafa ne woon independence du lem ak meew ah xale yi di ko wéy liggéey jot na Gambia am na boppam.
Julde
exactly
sun maam wax na yow nga nekk ndaw mu ne liggéey jot na Gambia moom na boppam ñun ñaar ñu nekk ndaw dégg nga oncle lu mu wax ndaw yi si ban fan lañu war a mun a taxaw pour mun a gis ne fu sun ku mel ni ñoom leer Sir Dawda Kairaba Joof fu ñu séntu Gambia dem war nañ faa mun a àgga bi ko def ni tey dañ fi am ñaari génération
exactly ndaw yi daal lu ñu war a def moo nekk ne ñu love for country just like our forefathers luñ doon def comme ñooñ gisuñ dara lu dul Gambia gisuñ dara lu dul Gambia mu jëm kanam gisuñ dara lu dul ñuñ as a Gambia waaye gisuñ ne kii lii la kii laa la waaye foog naa ne ñuñ suñ génération bi loolu moo ñu sonal for the fact that gisuñ Gambia muy Gambia waaye dañ gis ne kii mooy kii mooy kaa kii moo war a am lii kii moo war a wala kii moo njëkka kii moom fii kii moom fii ñoom time boobu noonu foog naa ne dañ gis ne comme Gambia bi yëpp ñoom ñoo ko moom gisuñ ne kii Guinée Bissau la jógee kii Mali la jógee wala kii fii la jógee luñ gis rek moo nekk ne ñun benn lañ te benn vision lañ am moo nekk fight for the development of this country fight pour ñu moom suñ boppa waaye ñun suñ génération bi fu mu nekk nii ndax ñu ngee gis loolu ndax ñu ngee gis the country first lan lañ nekk di gis what is our vision what is our mission what are we really foreseeing as a young generation so fu mu nekk nii daal comme ñuñ suñ generation bi dafa xaw a sad because ñuñ it's like colonialism génn na fi waaye fu mu nekk nii daal ba léegi it's like mu ngee ñëwaat lu mu ñëwaatee lu mu garaaw ndaxte suñ solin bi suñ waxin bi suñ doxin bi luñ nekk di jëflante yëpp comme dañ ko nekk di copy from somewhere else I think du loolu moo nekk loo xam ne daal suñ forefathers si loolu lañ xeexoon ay lii lañ xeexoon pour ñu génne ko fi moo taxit na ñu génne fi tubaab yi pour ñu moom suñ boppa suñ cultures ak suñ traditions si waaye soo seetee sa léegi man mi suma boppa soo ma laajtee suma culture suma traditions si lu ma la si mun a wax lu bari laa fàtte lu tuuti rek laa mun a wax foofu noonu loolu moo won le comme ñu ngi transform ñu ngi move and suñ gis-gis bi dafa utee léegi fu mu nekk nii ku nekk lu ma xool mooy ëllëg man naka laay mun a jàngee ma am suma degree ma am suma masters PhD naka laay mun a développer suma boppa su ma nekkee in a position ndax Gambia bi laay gis man lan mooy suma warugal si position boobu noonu suma boppa laa njëkka xalaat balaa ma xalaat Gambia te time boobu noonu foog naa ne ñoom xalaatuñ seen boppa Gambia bi lañ doon xalaat soo gisee small mu war a jógee fii dem exile because gisut famille am bi bàyyi na fi famille waaye gisut ko lan la gis moo nekk dëkk bi waaye ndax tey ñun suñ jamono bi fii dat mun nañoo def that sacrifice so moo taxit daal lu bari daal fu mu nekk nii génn na te ma gis ne foog ne dafa important pour ñu delluwaat suñ xel yi ñu delluwaat si culture and tradition ñu delluwaat suñ founding fathers si lan moo nekkoon the foundation at which Gambia was established in the first place.
dégg nga oncle lu mu wax mu ngi wax pour delloo njukkal wax na yëpp Thomas Kane moom moo design Gambian flag bi ne war nañ ko mën a tuddee dara gis nañ ne at ma ni OIC centre bi ñu ngi ko tuddee Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara lapidaan Banjul bi gën ko xamee noonu Royal Victoria Hospital léegi ñu ngi ko tuddee Edward Francis Small gis ne bu yàggu rek ECOWAS no awat nañ Sir Dawda si awat ba bu am solo xam naa après naa si engage oncle and demba rek si news bi QTV gis nañ suñu yaay léegi Chilel amin moom tam mu ngi doon jéem a wax taxawaay bi nga xam ne président Barrow am na ko depuis balaa Sir Dawda di gaañu sax ba léegi ni mu nekk di jàppale famille am bi te lii nekk loo xam ne wax na ko yoon ak yoon man maa ngi woon Abuja in December te wax na ko fa oncle yow noo gisee loolu
léegi Chilel boo ko tuddee rek foog ma xaasal ko ndax bi texa yi amee ci réew mi ñu jàpp ko mook njabootam noot leen fii ci dëpp bi mu doon doomi jàmbaar Alaaji Modou Moussa Ndiaye fu ñaaxee maamam rek buur fu ñu leen ñaaxee moom it ñaax nañ fa yi maamam mu dékk ko doon jigéen ay doomam lu ëpp juróom-ñetti fan loolu benn jigéen jaaru ci réewi Gambia ak i doomam ñuy leen a xootal ak fetal mu sàmm ngoram sàmm njabootam ba génn foofu kooku ku réew mi war a jàppala ku réew mi war di gestu la Chilel Njaay lu dafa waxu nag lu waaye di ñàmbaat waaye loolu la def ci réew mi fii doon jabari Sadawda ñëpp xam nañ ko bugga nit ba bugga dee
wàccee boppam nag
ñun
dafa humble
biñ nekkee xalel dañ daan dem State House su ma seetaan dina ree dañ daan play football ci biir néeg bi mu am bés paa bi génn si ñëw this is not my private property.
Yes, sir.
It belongs to the people. You play football inside. Lady Chilal that di wire jo de yéen ak fi bi léegi paa bi mu ngi jëli belta are we all ran and left.
xoolal xalaat boobu noonu ku mel ni président nga ñëw nga am dat xalaat di wax ne this is not my private property alali mbooloo bi la lan la ñu war a jàngee si wax boobu noonu bu gàtt la but it's a big message.
Gis nga there is a famous US president that once said that many men, I'm paraphrasing, many men can face adversity. But if you want to know the true character of a man,
Give him power.
Alhaji Sadawda was humble all the way. Very humble man. I have had opportunities to speak before him. My boss, Sukaimbai, would send me his way from time to time to ask him questions. This man was humble. This man was a symbol of decency, peace. And one of the things he did in this country was nurture that peace, hold the country together. We had a united Gambia growing up. Honestly, what she was alluding to, growing up, we had none of those. We were all one big happy family in this country.
And Uncle, so hole images, that's the pavilion Shamakati Square. Nga whole crowd again and bolo me. Akul dan help. So hell sorry na.
Suma hell sorry na ndax ndaanaan wi ki ma jàngal. Sol Njaay dinaa ko kóot fii. Daf daan faral di wax ne some are using treetops and high buildings as their points of vantage to see the various events that will unfold here today.
Yàlla nga gudda far Uncle.
Amiin Allah.
Jàngal ñu.
Sol Njaay Radio Gambia moo daan def ceremonial comment moo ma jàngal. Actually, people say he even gave me the voice. su ma daan jàngal doomam ji ndaw ji suma rakk Maam Fatou Njaay léegi mag na daf daan toog rek di seet. He will tell me, put pen to paper. Everything that I know was passed on to me by Sol Njai, Alaji Mansour Njai, and Alaji Lalo. Mom dama ko daan gite sax parce que bu independence commentary amee ndeysaan dégguma soose bu ne a bébé maa biring jàng.
Alaji Lalo Samata.
Kooku ndaanaan la. Kooku ndaanaan la. I think he had one of the best voice for radio. He was great. Of course. You can name them. You can name them. That is why I always celebrate one of your news anchors here, Jaina Basonko. She reminds me of the Jaina Banyangs and the Joy Cokers, the late Christiana Thomas, Michelle Njai, you know. They had a solid team. And of course, you had the Boram Woods, Ibrahim Akol, Marcel Tomasi.
Well, I know Jaina Basonko will cut this part for her WhatsApp status because it's good to have a veteran like Uncle Tijan. I mean, acknowledging and using you as a sample. I know she'll cut this part for her WhatsApp status. I'm quite sure.
It looks like every time I watch the news, I get Jaina Basonko.
Yeah.
And here I am seeing the notes here and seeing a new script once a day. Yeah. So I really admire her talent. I admire a lot of newscasters here. I think, like I've always said, you guys are doing such a phenomenal job. You know, you guys have been...
And we are grateful that we still have people like you. I mean, so you say, you are call you, even though you are in US, I mean, you always keep in touch. Then you call, then you will definitely next time keep it up. Te loolu fo naa ñun ñu si jàngee lu bari def ñu gën a motiver xam nga ndaw su muy def dara su defee lu baax nga ok nga ne ko li nga def nii baax na su defee nga ne ko non next time defal nii def ñu de mën a jàppale te moo tax ñun ngeen ñaan yàlla rek yàlla bàyyi ko bi ba si kanam ak kanam parce que despite his age, I mean, dafa wàccee boppam suñu level. Understand nga dañu jàngal pour ñu jàng si moom. te foo naa nekku nit mag boo xam ne dafa siisee xam-xam bu mu am. parce que xam na ne àddina bi ndaw yi ñooy teg over. te loolu foo naa ñun duñ def dafa di la ñaan rek yàlla may la gudd fan ak wér oncle.
Amiin so fu ma bëgg a ñëwee rek moo nekk after 58 years of independence, your uncle, do you think at the current stage of this nation that our forefathers will be proud?
Jude, just to interrupt, I mean, the First Lady, Fatima Barrow has arrived now. She's one arriving at the McCarthy Square in Banjul. That's the First Lady. I mean, it seems it's Fatima Barrow and Lady Sajo Mbalo Barrow.
Second Lady.
Yeah.
Esteemed invited dignitaries, ladies and
That's
gentlemen.
First Lady Fatima Barrow and Lady Sajo Mbalo Barrow. They are arriving at the McCarthy Square in their,
Beautiful attire.
beautiful attires, actually.
They're really beautiful.
It looks beautiful. I hope the president wouldn't ask me why am I describing how beautiful his wives are. But then I like the outfit. Very, very beautiful. Uncle, I mean, yes, in time, celebration be. Lady Chila, you know, wala moom ak Sador ñu daan ànd di ñëw.
Sador had two wives too.
Okay, wow.
Ajaratu Lady in
Wow, exactly.
And a very graceful woman too. Why usually on parade she used to come with one wife.
Okay.
And they will sit on the presidential days. I just saw the two first ladies walking, and a second lady, they call it here in Gambia. I think that was an elegant entry. Call it a spectacle, if you will, and it's a very majestic one at that. And let me just add that this August, I happened to be in Miami whilst your First Lady was there on a walking visit, and I was called upon by the PR company handling a visit to go and help them out and work with them for 14 days. She was there for around about 3-4 days. This woman knows what this country wants. She is an extremely brilliant woman. I don't know her from Adam, but every meeting she went to, she was looking for the country, looking for a direct flight from Miami to the Gambia, even talking to Gambian doctors, asking them to come home on their vacation to work. I mean, I think that is commendable, and I think I want to put that on the record.
And it's good to have someone like you, at least, testifying, her determination, her commitment to the development of this country once she travels outside the country. Jude, you've seen the First Ladies, they're coming. There's Fatma Barrow there, seated, and of course with Lady Sajo Barrow. Earlier on I asked Uncle about the need to bring back the old days of celebrating independence. What's your take?
I totally agree. Growing up, I was a leader. I had girl when I was in primary school, and of course junior, going to senior secondary school. So every independence, I used to be in front as the head girl, and it was really nice. Imagine I will request for a new uniform, new shoes, and I'll plait my hair. I will look good, and then we will go there as early as 7 a.m. and then, wait for the march to start. And it was really nice because back then it taught us like, okay, this is Gambia, this is independence, this is the day we really own our nation, this is the day that we took charge of our own destiny. And by then, like, Gambia, Gambia soon, I used to love that song because, it really taught us that, we should work together as one. The Gambia is ours, and of course, it taught a sense of patriotism at the time. So I always loved to attend independence. And of course, everybody else will go in my house and they will attend. So, but now, growing up, after senior secondary school, I really don't honestly feel like going for independence and even watching it on TV. And I asked myself, how does this really happen? Growing up, I used to love attending independence.
It seems Uncle wants to.
I think we also have to take note that we have grown from a population standpoint, and there are a lot of schools. I don't think you can fit all the schools at the Independence Stadium or McCarthy Square. So we must take that into consideration. You talked about patriotism. It is important. Abraham Lincoln once said, you cannot continue to do for man permanently what they could and should do for themselves. That means, for me, we have to come together as a nation, stand up, face the issues, whether negatives or positives, that are confronting us, and harness our efforts together. Know that at the end of the day, it is so beautifully enshrined in our national pledge. It is the combination of government and the people. That's the first line of our national pledge. Now, how patriotic are we? Patriotism starts from the schools. Civic education. As you know, we're
talking about schools. Those images are the school-going children from various schools in Banjul.
You see, this is not all the students.
Yeah.
Like you said, during our time, all the students of all the schools in Banjul, that square used to be packed. And you know, after they gave us this, we used to call it physis. This powder you put, maybe strawberry flavor or banana sparkling. That's what we got after the parade. But just like what Jainaba said, it was something you look forward to. And of course, February is always cold here. And we'll be at Makati Square at 8 o'clock shivering. But it was worth it because we were celebrating our independence. Then teachers taught what independence was all about, what it meant. We need to go back to that.
Thank you very much, Uncle Tijan Masane Sise, a veteran journalist, historian, and mentor to most of us. I mean, viewers, you're watching QTV, the Gambia Sports private TV station, and we are broadcasting from our studios here on Karaba Avenue, and our other crew is in Banjul, where, I mean, the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Adama Barrow, is going to preside over the Gambia's 58th independence celebration at the Makati Square. The exact venue where the Union Jack was lowered for the last time and the Gambian flag hoisted on 18 February 1965. Today the Gambia is celebrating 58 years of nationhood. Buckingham in National QTV, Len Dalala, the Lewana Belek in National QTV, Tenak New Amfi, Sun uncle, Sun mom, Sun papa, Sun nijay, Sun sun sering si wàllu journalisme nga ne moo nekk Uncle Tijan Masane Cissé moom lañ bokkal plateau bi tey waxtaan yi nga ne moo nekk Gambia's independence celebration bi tey la Gambia di màggal gannaaw bu mu moomee boppam in 1965 tey loolu lañ nekk di màggal fale ca Banjul fi nga xam ne nga ne moom président Adama Barrow moom war a ñëw pour jiite li nga ne moo nekk màggal yi nga xam ne moo nekk celebration bi musidɓe am ha joni hono ndaara QTV ɗo ngannduɗaa ɗo wonɗo joni ha joni mboɗo ɗo wondi he mo ngannduɗaa ko mbiɗa ko kayrawo amen ko mamirawo amen ko baɗirawo amen ko mbiɗa ko ceernajo amen Uncle Tijan Masane Cissé e julde Ndiaye comme no memini rek hannde Gambia no juurade bila ɓe keeɓi independence from British rule hannde woni duuɓi caɓanɗe joyi e jeetati bila Gambia heeɓi hoore maɓɓe ɓoytano si Allah jaaɓi président Adama Barrow ɓe heɓta toto Makati Square Banjul ɗo ngannduɗaa ko toon ɓe mbatta celebrate independence celebration mo Banjul. Jude.
Yes, Mr. Uncle Cissé, after 58 years of independence, do you think that our forefathers are proud of us considering the state of the nation?
I see no reason why they should not be proud wherever they are. I think efforts have been put in place, maybe at a rate that we expected more, but over time the anticipation is we will get there.
But when?
We'll have to bring the experts to answer that one.
And how? Considering like the economy, the agricultural sector, the tourism sector, and of course the agricultural sector is the backbone of this country. But before and now, you see the agricultural sector. Rice is our staple food, but we consume 10% of we only have less than 10% of the rice that we produce here that we consume, only less than 10%. The rest of the 90% we export. do you think as a country we are really independent, and how even independent are we?
Well, I want to say that no country is an island. And this is why you have state-to-state relationships.
When you study international relations.
Yes, that no state is an island. We have dependencies on nations. I don't want to sit here as an expert. I am not in that field, but I want to say that we could be self-sufficient in rice. We have the land. It is fertile.
Yeah.
If we are really committed to the investment and the technology, we should be self-sufficient in rice.
Like you said, I agree. I mean, there's some potentials in this country as far as agriculture is concerned. And because of that, we haven't just seen the government trying to invest much in the sector, but equally we have seen some investors even coming from South Korea who are here. I mean, trying to partner with the Q Group and of course, Chairman Ja, who is the council in this country, trying to invest in the agriculture sector. But Uncle, that's the President of the Republic, President Adama Barrow, now arriving at the McCarthy Square in Banjul. Working, I mean, President Adama Barrow, McCarthy Square, what a fake celebration. Baringol Intemento Banco Nyatango President Barrow, abe fota kanang Makari Square Banjul. Uncle, la batele ko.
Wow, li mom so dege gewel yanko mad fi nek ni. Why duga bi daf de yiw.
Jor num dan duggé. Ya jam num dan duggé. Tay Barrow.
Ibu Ndiaye ndeysaan. Uncle Ibu Ndiaye ngi jitu with the mounted rider. Coming into McCarthy Square now, of course, the president will take the national salute, signaling his arrival before he mounts the presidential days. And then we will go into the ceremony proper. He is in the state car, I think it's presidential one, and it's coming slowly as he waves and acknowledges his constituents. He is, of course, the custodian of the Republic. He is everybody's president, particularly on this day, when everybody is a Gambian, regardless of where you swing politically. This is a day that we are one nation, indivisible, under God. And I think this is a sight that is worth commentating. It's a beautiful entrance, and very shortly we will go into the ceremony proper. But I have seen these years and years ago, very colorful, coming into McCarthy Square with Alaji Sadauda, so graceful and so simple for that matter. And I think that is being replicated here today.
Tacculen President Barrow kooku mo nekk Dahaba moom moo nekk di yuuxu noonu naan tacculen President Barrow moo nekk di dugg ci fale ca McCarthy Square fi nga xam ne ñëpp toog nañ léegi moom rek lañ leen doon xaar mu ngi dugg si motaam bi sol xaftanam bu weex maanaam bu weex am nañ di dugg si di mu ngi tourné McCarthy Square bi di ekkati loxaam yi pour nuyu ñi nga xam ne ñoo ñëw pour fekkee li nga xam ne moo nekk celebration bi Uncle I'm sorry, after the parade, I mean, there will be the march past and then I'm President Garal Kadu. What are you expecting from him this time?
I think
what's the message?
It is Independence Day. I think the president will seize this opportunity to bring the nation together. I am sure he will call on the kids, to be disciplined and respect authority, their parents and their teachers, because without that respect, they cannot grow to be citizens of merit that will be able to contribute effectively tomorrow in this country. I think I am anticipating a very good address on this day of nationhood.
Jude, how about you? What are you expecting from the president's address today?
I expect the president to tell us where are we what we have achieved so far as a nation, and of course what we are hoping to gain in the next 1 year or so, and as a country where are we in the global stage. I expect the president, of course, to highlight some of the challenges that the country is really encountering, and of course how we are able to overcome them as a nation, as a country. And of course, when it comes to the young people, how they should really devise means of making sure that, the Gambia is food self-sufficient and the Gambia is really independent, as the name highlights. So I expect the president to really mention a lot of things in terms of how he is going to fulfill the developmental aspirations of this country.
Uncle, President, watching a motor million mungedo. I'm not quite you to get Tielu balloon.
Wow, that is the Scottish pipe.
You're welcome, Your Excellency.
Mom lañ ko fufal noonu ndeysaan mu ngi dem nag fi mu nekk bu éegee ci tuy bi ndax ci olof stage mooy tuy bu éegee ci tuy bi ñu jox ko bàkki réew mi
boobu la ñuy ñëw def ni fon na bàkki réew mi boobu la ñuy ñëw national anthem of the Gambia. Let's take a listen.
You will kindly resume your seats right after His Excellency the President
Well,
takes
I mean,
his seat.
that was the national anthem mounted by the armed forces, and the president has now taken his seat at the presidential dais. Uncle, gis naa ñoon tëgg national anthem bi yaa ngi yëngal sa boppa bi.
daf ma yóbbu bu solo rek ndax
Distinguished
national anthem bi
ladies and gentlemen,
jigéen a ko binda
as
ba ci ni
protocol
xaaw
requires, before we venture
jëkkëram
into the
daf doon
program
liggéey
proper,
fii ni expatriate staff
we would like to
of the
first
Ministry of
and
Lands
foremost commit ourselves in the mighty
jëkkër ji
hands of
moo ko
Allah
put into music
by seeking His
te
blessings
Fodi Kaba
for
Doumbouya
his free
ci woyam
and
bi
successful event.
moom la ñu jëlee
This
cuun
on
bi
this note,
loolu Sidi Jammeh one of the greatest
invite the
journalists
Imam Ratib of Banjul,
in the Gambia Dr. Sidi Jammeh moo ma jàngal loolu
to lead us
so rek
in the Muslim prayers
mu
for
daw
his
yaram
representative.
ma séddoo koog yéen ndax tey dañoo delloo paaka ca mbaram
dafa am solo
paaka day dellu ca mbaram tey
parce que te ñëpp ñu ngi jàng yaa ngi fàttalul mag yi xale yaa ngi jàng.
waaw am na ku ñu ooyee oncle Alpha Kane mu nekkoon head teacher Banjul Secondary Technical School
is it is the educationist at some
dafa
point.
am kàddu olof bu mu amoon mu ne jëf jël jàng jëriñoo olof boobu xóot na jëf jël jàng jëriñoo
lu am solo la.
loolu nag moom ni nga ko waxee rek bu ñu jàngale xale yi ñu xam seen cosaan ndax boo xamul sa cosaan xamuloo dara xamuloo yow yaay kan and this is something that Cheikh Anta Diop talks about in his Origins of African Civilization, how so important, how we should appreciate our culture.
lu am solo la def mel ni léegi ki nga ne moo nekk imam ratib of Banjul Alhaji Cerno Alieu Maska def mel ni rep am bi la dafa am représentative moo ko nekk moom moo nekk def ñaan bi
maliki yawmi ddin iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdina sirata almustaqim sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim ghayri almaghdubi alayhim wala ddallin ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار ربنا وأتنا ما وعدتنا على رسولك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد اللهم بالذل قد وافيت بابك عالما أن التذلل عند بابك ينفخ وجهلت مختمدي عليك توكلا وستك في سائلا أتضرع وبحق من أحببته وبعثته وأجبت دعوة به يتشفه اشهد لنا من كل ديه مخرجا والتف بنا يا من إليه المرجع ثم الصلاة على النبي وآله خير الخلائق شافق وشفه اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أخلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره المقدار العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين بحرمة لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم آمين يا رب العالمين
representative of the Imam Ratib of Banjul there, giving us the Islamic prayer, and we also have a rep from the Christian Council also to come and lead us in the Christian prayers. Uncle, earlier on you were talking about the issue of Sheikh Umar Pai and others, and by the way, we just received a message from our Sheikh Umar Pai, our Gambia ambassador in Mauritania, who is also watching live. He said, congratulations, they call you Young Tijan Sise. Well, Uncle, Ambassador Sheikh Umar Pai, thank you so much for sharing us your thoughts. You and your staff of the embassy there in Nouakchott.
Great God of nations, we give you thanks and praise for our nation. We are honored to be called Gambians, and we celebrate your goodness and mercies that continues to follow our nation since independence. Lord, we celebrate the fact that when others have doubted the existence and probability of our nation, you have helped us by your grace, so to make ourselves a nation worthy of emulation. We give you glory, we give you honor. Today we pray, mighty God, that as we celebrate our independence, you will heal our wounds. You will bring forgiveness unto this nation. You will allow us to know reconciliation. And Lord, you will truly allow us to practice our democracy such that peace and development will be our true marks. On this day of our independence, we celebrate all who have served us. And we celebrate now those whom you have allowed to be in the helms of authority. We pray for our president and for the cabinet and all who work in making this nation what it is. May your hand rest upon us all, and may your grace be sufficient even for this nation, that as we continue in our celebrations, begun, continued, and ended, it will be to the honor of nationhood and to the glory of your holy name. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior. Amen.
Bishop Bani Manga, chairman of the Gambia Christian Council, and also the bishop of the Methodist Mission in the Gambia. Until recently, he was the youngest bishop in the world. So we have two powerful prayers there.
the Republic of the Gambia.
Now I think permission is about to be requested for the president to inspect the troops on parade. I think there are 9 detachments here today. Each is male and female, with 54 officers, and of course the 2IC. We spoke earlier on about the parade commander, Lieutenant Colonel Abdullah Mbu, and I want to reiterate how his uncle, then Inspector General of Police, saved this nation.
Private companies and institutions.
Yet again, it is sad that Alhaji Abdullah Mbu, with everything he did for this country, he is not celebrated. We do not celebrate our heroes. We tend to forget people that have given their all, that have done all they could with what they had for this nation. Like I said, in 1981, this country saw a test. Communism and Leninism would have been introduced to this country, while Sadaura was away. He came with a group of men, police officers, field force, pioneer unit from Parapet.
Uncle, we'll come back. Let's now take a listen to what the MC is
when the
saying.
chains of bondage and colonialism were broken and the Gambia became a nation of a free and dignified people. On this day, the Gambia and her people, armed with faith and hope in the spirit of progress and peace for a greater nation, embarked on this historic journey in search of socio-economic development and growth. Today, we gather here together in that same spirit of continuing to build on that historic journey. On that note, I have the singular honor and privilege to announce the inspection of the troops on parade by His Excellency, President of the Republic of the Gambia, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Mr. Adama Barrow, GMRG. Parade Commander, sir.
Son.
Good morning, Your Excellency. 58th Independence Anniversary Celebrations Parade from the 59 officers and 424 other ranks in open order, ready for inspection. I am Lieutenant Colonel Abdullah Mbu, the Parade Commander, Your Excellency.
distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like at this juncture to acknowledge the presence in our midst of former Vice Presidents Bakari Buja Dabo and Dr. Aïssatou Touré. Also, former President of the Federal Republic of Somalia and our own Lady Chilel Jawara. Next is going to be the slow march to be followed by the quick one and advancing review order, Fire for Joy, and the three hardy chairs to be led by the parade commander for this year's celebration. Parade commander, sir.
Advance in review order. By the center. Right wheel. Slow march.
heads, I mean, they don't joke about this. They make sure we get it perfect. We cannot get anything below perfect because this is a national independence day. And most of the time, this is a high point. Many people, when you talk about independence, they look out for the march past. So you cannot afford to make any error.
The most important day in the life of a country, they better get it right. And God knows they always, and they have always excelled in march.
Don't you think this should translate in our everyday dealing?
Absolutely.
This perfection.
Absolutely. But you also, perfection needs commitment, sacrifices, dedication, toiling, and hard working. That is the recipe to perfection. Today, this parade is perfect. I know if I meet the CDS tomorrow, he'll still have few things to observe. Knowing him, he's never satisfied. That man is a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I have had an opportunity to work with him in the diplomatic field. Back when he was in New York, I was in Washington. He is a perfectionist.
Well, viewers, you're still watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we are broadcasting live from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue, and also our crew is in Banjul. My very good colleague, Ansmana Eso Nyasi, Patisen, and Abdus are there for us, and we are here in the studios on Kairaba Avenue with our uncle, father figure, I mean, a mentor, veteran journalist, I mean, historian, Uncle Tidian Masane Sisi, and my colleague, Yuden Jai, we are here in the studio, bringing you live images of what is happening at the Makati Square, where as we speak, I mean, our fine men and women in uniform marching past the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces, His Excellency President Adama Barrow, who for the 6th time is presiding over the independence celebration as President of this country since he was first elected in 2016 and so on in January 2017. Right now, I mean, these fine men and women, after what has been 2 weeks, I mean, rehearsing for this celebration, today, I mean, showing us what they have been doing, and certainly, like you have heard from Uncle, there is no room for error as far as this march past is concerned. You really have to get it perfect because, I mean, it is Independence Day celebration. Uncle, where be my bad?
No, man léegi woy xamatuma leen nag.
Comme xam nga léegi gars yi ci ñambaas US.
Waaw xam nga ñun suñu time dañ daan tega ay gargaan ci raben.
Waaw.
You know, ñaani bañ naa.
Waaw xam naa gars yi war nañu mën a woy sa woy maam bi nam.
Boobu slow match la dee nekk.
Te
Masane Cissé.
Waaw.
I am surprised ne tey teguñ suma maam waaye slow match la dee faral di nekk. This is, you see that maneuver right there with the band. And look at that beautiful Lance Corporal drum major. I said to you, doing her thing.
Those are the fine men and women customs there. Those are the female attachment led by Fatmata Jallo. She works at custom. Her dad also used to work at GRA custom. And she's been part of this parade for the past independence celebration. She was there last year, and this year as well. She is also leading the female detachment. Like I said, I mean, those are live images from the Makati Square in Banjul, where our men and women in uniform are having their parade. I mean, march passing the President of the Republic and other invited dignitaries on the presidential days. We have the cabinet ministers there, former Vice President Bibi Dabo, Aisha Toure is there. As you have heard from the MC, also former Somalian president is also in the country. And of course, Lady Chilal Jawara, I mean, wife of the late former President Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, who led the Gambia to independence together with his other compatriots. As you have heard from Uncle Tidian Masane Sisi, there was a unity of purpose as far as ensuring the Gambia gained independence from British rule, but equally it wasn't an easy journey. You know, he tells us about the Marlborough talks, how a powerful delegation left the country to Marlborough to have talks on the need for Gambia to be granted independence, even though at the time the British weren't sure whether the Gambia was actually ready to be independent. But equally, this is a day when we pay tribute to people who led the fight, the likes of Sadauda Kairava, Jawara, G.C. Faye, and so many others, including, of course, Edward Francis Small, who was key in ensuring that, Gambia gained independence. And because of that, we saw him establish the Gambia Outlook and the Senegambia Reporter, which was at the time used by many, to share their, their thoughts as to how the British were steering the affairs of this country. Uncle wants to.
I just want to also bring something of note that is important. In 1962, Sadauda Kairaba Jawara and P.S. Njai went to a coalition government. That was unity right there from the word go.
Coalition has been here for
That was the first time that sons of this nation were around the country.
Oh. So coalition is just new, huh?
No, it's not new. Coalitions and alliances are not new in this country.
Well, that's Uncle. It's also good that you tell us about this thing. Like I said, ñu bari ñu ngi seetaan ndaw ñu ngi seetaan mag ñu ngi seetaan waaye xam naa ne tey moom school la ñu bari ñu ngi jàng si lii naan ñu ngi def history about Gambia Gambian politics nañ mën a jàng lu bari si lii tey nañ déglu parade commander bi Abdoulaye Bi.
I think they're gonna fire.
Like I said, you're still watching QTV. Like I said, on a day like this, we celebrate people who were at the forefront as far as fighting for the liberation of this country from British rule is concerned. We talk about the role that Edward Francis Small played in the fight against colonialism. We saw, like I said, how he used the press, the media to to share with people outside the country about what was happening in this country.
Feel a joy, and it will be followed by parts of the national anthem, usually.
Please resume your seats.
Your Excellency, after the march pass in slow quick time, advance in review order, for the joy and 3 hearty cheers. May I have your permission to march the parade, Your Excellency.
Captain Mamadou Koli. Thank you very much for your performance. And at this juncture, I would like to respectfully cede the floor for the Director of Press and Public Relations at the State House. It has been a pleasure to have been supported by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Gambian Forces, and the media officer of the Gambian Forces Public Relations Department. I am Captain Malik Sani.
Thank you very much, Captain Malik Sani, for that brilliant commentary and also the pre-independence engagement that were so excellent on the media. Thank you very much. Today I think we have a little bit of civic education. I'm glad it's very important that we understand these things as civilians and maybe other people who are not even civilians. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Colonel, for the education you've just
like
given me.
said, we call them the gallant men and women in uniform, who are now marching off after what has been an eye-catching parade before their commander-in-chief and President of the Republic, President Adama Barrow, together with First Lady Fatima Barrow and Lady Sergeant Barrow, and of course other invited dignitaries, members from the diplomatic corps. As we understand, the former Vice President Bibi Dabo is in attendance. Aïssatou Touré is there. Lady Chilal, who earlier on you have heard Uncle Tijan Massanes talk a lot about her, how humble, how strong she is. She is also in attendance. Of course, former Somalian president, as we heard from the MC, is also in attendance. And after this, we will have that of this school-going children who will also march past, the president of the Republic, President Adama Barrow. Uncle, ñu gis comme ñu waxtaan si anglais gis nañ ko mel ni ñoom Bibi Dabo ñoom Aïssatou ñëpp ñëw fekkee toog benn mbaar di magal indépendance bi lan la wone.
waaw dafa wone rek di xewal ak jàmm ci réew mi ndax ni ma ko fi waxee rek te njëlbeen olof yi dañ ne mus nañoo àndatuñ am na waaye mus nañoo bokkaatuñ amul te du mus am loolu rek la firndil rek jàmm ak salaam ndax loolu mooy li yóbbu réew kanam te am naa yaakaar ne buñ continuer di ñaan yàlla ñu am dina wàcc ci ñun may ñu ko mu des ci réew mi sax continuer fi
Jude
léegi oncle fu mu nekk nii maagal nañ 58 years of independence léegi yow foog nga ne focus bi lan la si ban secteur la war a nekk or what should be the focus now as a country
jubluwaay bi
léegi
comme ni ma ko dee waxee rek takku liggéey suñu réew xale yi dañu ko fi wëy wér-gu-yaram gi lu am solo la ndax dëkk bu feebar du dem kanam wér-gu-yaram gi yaakaar naa war nañ ci def ci kéttadaam kattan liggéey ci ak ci mbay mi ndax wax nga fi maalo dañ koo jëndee bitim réew te yàlla may nañu ko koom-koom gi mu ngi fi mun nañoo béy maalo fii te loolu sax dafa am solo ndax léegi doo gisee ca jamono ñi daan béy barawuñ la waaye léegi koo taseel man ci suma xarit yi I am going to the farm this weekend ñëpp a ngi góorgóorlu di béy buñ gënee di gën a béy rek dañoo góob de ndax loo béy rek góob ko du noonu
waaye def ni lu bëri dafa ceeñ ci wàllu mbay mi parce que man xam naa ne bu ma nekkee ndaw maa ngi fàttaliku ñu bëri duñ daan jënd maalo tubaab ñu ko daan bay waaye def ni all of a sudden loolu yëpp a ceeñ léegi xaw ma ne because of li ñu am this exodus migration from the provinces ñëpp ngee ñëw si town bi léegi ñëpp ngee tukki ndaw yi toog a tuñ mbay bi melatut noonu waaye maa ngi fàttaliku bi ñu nekkee ndaw ñun suñu yaay yëpp dañ daan dem di bay maalo soo pour ñu jënd maalo sax def dee jafe comme li nga nekk di wax ne am nañ suuf si am nañ ndox lu des rek moo nekk pour ñu takk suñu digga nangoo pour liggéey
waaye nag bon nañ leen ñu jox jigéen ñi seen cër ndax ñoom ñoo nekk ci faro yi ñoom ñooy liggéey ñoom ñooy bay
nekk si marché bi de
ñoo nekk ci marché bi
balaa nga koo xam sax nga ewu fajar suba teel boy 5-6 am
dama ne jigéeni Gambia dañ leen war di xaasal di leen jox li nga xam ne mooy seen coobari ci réew mi dañ yàgg am jom xale yi nii ñi di ëppa yëpp tey boo leen ne ku leen jox solal leen ci suba ñu ne suñu yaay yi fii dañ ci am solo te yaay yi Gambia laa gis ne sa doom rek du sa doom ñëpp sa doom loolu moo fi yàgg sax loolu nag mooy éwénal mbokk gi ak dëkkandoor
am nga fu nekk xale school ñu ngee match
waaw man suma school nag fi dama bias de Saints Nation
ba sa school bi
Saints Nation juróom saa mu ko sol blue and white Saints Nation victory for the white and blue always
defe ne ñoo nekk di romba noonu de
Saint Joseph ak Saint Augustine
waaw
so foog rek ma bias tuuti rek du loolu
loolu laa gis
of course
waaye ñun tam time boobu ñi la daan mel wala dafa xala uute ak léegi
non non nii la daan mel waaye ñun am na Cheikh Omar Faye ngi seetaan ñun seen dañ ci daan boole xajaan dañ dee jël athlètes yi dañoo sol seen tracksuit yiñ bi na Saint Augustine uniforme yi jiitu ba pare athlètes yi yëpp dañoo amee trophée buñ egsee ba ca sa Dawda ñu ne ice right ñu ekkati trophy yi yëpp because I know Cheikh Omar Faye is dying over there in no action but that's how we used to do it and then we had the principal Father Joseph Goff and he designed that so every time we came in front of the president all the trophies because we wanted to prove to the country we were a mecca of academic and sports excellence and here are all the trophies that we won. We used to go to Senegal and we bring like 9-10 trophies, in a weekend. So this is just not eye-catching. For me, it's very emotional.
Well, binga today Father Goff rek so di sorry si wàllu sport gis na Manjai Park bi dafa si lu bari pour mën a gis ne park boobu taxaw dafa naa ne si wàllu jàng bi tam def na si lu bari so we thank tribute to of course, Father Goff for also his contribution not only to education but sports as well. Comme na ko waxee tey bés la boo xam ne bés la pour delloo njukkal bés la pour célébrer fàttaliku nga xam ne ay ndaanaan ñoom ñoo fi nekkoon taxawal ñu nga def lu nekk pour mën a Gambia moom na boppam.
dëgg ndax ndaanaan yi ñoo liggéey réew mi de.
voilà oncle ñu bari
démb moo tax teyam du noonu.
even airport sax ñu bari ñu ngi wax ne war nañu mën a tuddee war nañu ko tuddee kenn si ndaanaan bi. Airport bank stadium bank.
You just had Reverend J.C. Faye. Wow. I think the Anglican Mission named a school for him, and his contribution to the political and independence movement is unrivaled. I am Gaba Jahumpa, who also served as the Minister of Finance, was an extraordinary teacher during his time, and actually in the history of St. Augustine, he is dubbed as the most distinguished old boy of the school.
That's Gaba Jahumpa.
Yes.
The
ST Clare youths and, a lot of them. Idi Dawood Njai, Mamadou Kadicham, who is alive with us who is responsible for bringing this independent stadium to the Gambia when he served as Minister of Sports. And these are things that are not known. But this is their contribution towards national development. So I just think it's about time that we give honor to these people. I talked about the coat of arms, which is also an identity. The custodian of the coat of arms is the president. Every letterhead from the Gambia government has a coat of arms. Every. It was designed, it has been in existence since November, precisely November 18th, 1964. But people don't know that this coat of arms was designed by a man named Rene Potin. So it is important. Those that have contributed, you have many women. You know, Louise Antoine Ndiaye.
Gambia High, Gambia High.
You know, Louise Antoine Ndiaye, Hannah Augusta Darling Mahoney Joara, the first woman to contest elections. You know, you had Mrs. Claire Youth, the first woman to head a political party in this country. You know, Ared Mboj, an extraordinary woman mobilizer. Nima Sarasane Bojang, the first woman to win elections here in the Gambia. You know, Auntie Aru Fowlis, Mrs. Harriet Ndau, Mrs. Marion Evans, you know, Auntie Joanna Mbai. And most of them were extraordinary education. You know, what their contribution, Mary Ellen Prom, you know, Mrs. Sarkis, Mrs. T.J. Yunsen. They prepared, they armed this nation with the requisite attributes and the human capacity to move this country forward. But they are never mentioned. Mr. Fowlis. It goes on and on throughout the Gambia. Maybe these are the ones that I know. Joe P. Jallo, Sebastian Jais, Michael Toure, they are all out there. They've done their part, you know.
So at this point, there is a need to change our curriculum at the school level, because in the school, jungle history mostly, it's how the British, we were really colonized by the British, the Portuguese, and the French. But hardly that dega ñoo xamne dal comme ñoo nekk behind the Gambia.
I think there was a history book that we read, was written by Dr. Florence Mahoney.
Yeah.
Stories of the Gambia, right?
Yeah.
She's another extraordinary woman in this country, the mother of my good friend Shirley Mahoney. Women have had a unique role in this country. I mean, they gave most of them worked as teachers or nurses that, you know, we talked about. And at the time, the Gambia was a model. Our healthcare system was a model. Other countries came to learn how our hospitals were being run at the time. You know, and these women, they were the nurses.
But why has that changed now?
Well, we go back to what she said. Are we taking ownership of our republic? Are we taking ownership? We own this country in our hearts. You know, you must be able to take ownership and ready to move this nation. And it goes back to how patriotic are we. There are a lot of people that bleed red, white, blue, and green. I mean, with sincerity and dedication to the republic. But we got to say it as it is. There are people out there who are like, I got to make my money.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like Judah is talking about issue of the curriculum. I understand the Directorate of Curriculum Research at the ministry is working on you know,
the curriculum.
Revising, I mean, the curriculum to have a curriculum that we propose, I mean, where you take people what is relevant to them as far as the development of this country is concerned.
Exactly.
I mean, you talk about the role of young people. You talk about the importance of changing our attitudes, our mindsets towards the country. Let's look at leadership. How much does a leadership play in this whole thing? The leadership, those at the top, those given the responsibility to steady affairs of this country.
Again, it goes back to commitment and dedication to the nation. I don't know if you listen to the prayer by Bishop Bani Manga.
Yeah.
He invoked God's name to protect and bless those in authority with the zeal and the wisdom to lead this country. We're not going to agree all the time, but there are times that we can disagree to agree. And I think that is also a recipe to move a nation forward. We talked about historical aspect of how we are not remembering great men like Alaji Binja and all those people. If I have to go to the Gambian Museum tomorrow, I would want to see the picture of Palu Thomas with a notation underneath what he did, who Rachel Palmer was, who P.S. Guy was, who Sadara was. And in schools, we should teach that because it is a part that was left by the past. And these are the men that built this nation. And I think they deserve recognition for their invaluable contribution to this democracy.
Yeah, because like I always tell people, I mean, when we're talking about having a new Gambia will not just come about by the changing of the books or changing of the laws. It will only come about by the changing of our mindset and how we see this country. And this was something that was a guiding tool for the likes of Sir Dauda and all the people you have mentioned here. All they saw was the country. That patriotism in them is lacking in most.
Well, then we need to go back to the chalkboard and see how we can rekindle patriotism. And again, I think it starts right there in the schools.
Because you've experienced all the generations when you look back at the life history of these people, what they stood for as far as this country is concerned, and you look at what is happening now, then you will realize that there's a lot of difference.
Well, it was...
And I'm sure most of them...
It was a more disciplined generation.
Yeah.
At the time, if you were older than me, if you spoke, I didn't speak. I did not look my elder in the eye. I dare not, females dare not wear anything below their knees. So it's an evolution. Time changes. And with the impact of social media also has an impact in the change of attitude, not just the Gambia, but the world over. You know? I'm sure your boss will tell you when we were growing up as kids, you know, respect was taught in the...
Let's now go back to Banjul, where Jainaba Toure, a poet, is reciting a poem on the theme Democracy, a recipe for peace and development. Let's take a listen.
There is no hope further today. Have you met the strangers of this land? How they advance and decline regression? Have you met them? No, I don't think you understand. This land becomes everyone's home. Have you asked yourselves why they came to stay, but you crave to leave? Some of you can't. It's the love for home. When you leave, who will bring hope back home? Hope is honesty. Hope is improved education and fulfilled responsibilities. Hope is establishing strong systems. Hope is hard work, discipline, and goodwill, holding on to the truth that will give birth to your gold. Hope is patriotism. From Greece, democracy came, taught you to be heard, that the majority are as significant as the minority. I don't think you understand. Democracy taught us to be heard, that freedom revolves and fear is exempted, that with democracy peace prevails and development surfaces. We sought for a nation which grows with its people, rallying behind her, where we set a course for a cause, where a leap of faith is a leap taken in faith. Good conscience is required. You cannot love a nation's treasure and abuse her. Love what you own. Fight for your people. Fight for your people. We own democracy, we shape it, and until we embrace us, democracy will remain dictated. We strive for each voice to be heard. Have you thought of unity? How it builds a nation? If we lose sight of our values, how then can peace and democracy prevail? How then can it be a recipe when we are the recipe that ruins democracy, how then will we bring hope when we are the recipe that takes hope away from home? Mr. President, I greet you, sir. I thank you all. Thank you.
Of that poem.
Yes, I mean, you heard from a quite powerful poem there by Jainaba Toure. I mean, brilliant poem. You heard what it said. Love what you own. Fight for your people. How can you say democracy is a recipe for peace and development when you ruin democracy? Powerful poem there by Jainaba Toure.
Of course, democracy is about the people. It's explicitly stated in the definition of, by, and for. We give a government the mandate. The people. We give them the mandate when we go to the polls to lead us. Right? And of course, there are expectations, and in a democracy, if you do not deliver, the changes could take place, right? But democracy is a recipe for peace also. Because a democratic dispensation that is run right creates the enabling environment for peace. And of course, the Gambia is a young and fledgling democracy, and there have been a lot of tick marks for this country since 2017. And you guys are in the press. You talk about the press freedom you have. Of course, minor incidents here and there, but there's been considerable improvement.
Jude, I mean, you have heard from Jainaba Toure, one of our young poets. I mean, we have so many of them out there, the likes of Cherno Gay, the likes of Umar Cham, and many others. You've heard from her poem, quite powerful. What do you make of her poem? The message.
The message is a powerful one. It reminds us who we are as a country and at what stage we are. Are we really fighting? And if we are fighting as a nation, what are we fighting for? That is the question that we should all ask. Of course, the likes of Sadauda Karaba Jawara, the likes of, Njai, the likes of, JC Fai, what they fought for the development of this country. They fought for peace. They fought for democracy. They fought for sustainability. What are we fighting for in our generation? In this country. Of course, they will say that we are gaining independence, but the mindset, is it independent? Are we really independent in our minds, in our hearts? Are we really independent? Who are we? Are we really reflecting on our values? Are we reflecting on our cultures and traditions? Are we really acting we? Are we behaving we? That is the question that we should be asking as a people, as Gambians. So I think that is very, very important. We should ask ourselves what the fight is.
You are right. She touched it in that poem. Yeah. And that's why I said it looked like this panel had an advanced copy because everything we discussed here was in that poem. And we talked about ownership, right? Yeah. Okay, let me just give an example. Government is spending a lot of money to renovate the Independence Stadium.
$100 million is... That's what they budget.
Let's say when that stadium is ready, after 6 months, will it look the same? Yeah. If we take ownership, it will. Yeah. Ownership is very important in nationalism.
Let's now go back to the square in Banjul, and there's entertainment going on. Let's take a listen.
At this point in time, it is a pleasure for me to invite Your Excellency, President Adam Abaro, GMRD, Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces, to come to the podium and deliver his statement on this auspicious day. Your Excellency, sir.
Of the Republic President Adam Barrow and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces is now about to deliver his independence address, to Gambians as we celebrate, the country's 58th independence anniversary since we gained independence from British rule on 18 February 1965. Like I said, you're watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station. Let's now take a listen to the President.
Thank you very much, Ami Bojang, Director of Press. We are celebrating 58 years of nationhood. But 3 days back, I also celebrated my birthday. Your Excellencies, the First Lady, Fatuba Barrow, and Madam Sergeant Balo Barrow. Former Vice Presidents present, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, my Lord, the Chief Justice, His Excellency Sirif Sheikh Ahmed, former President of the Federal Republic of Somalia, former First Lady, Lady Chilel Jawara, honorable members of Cabinet and the National Assembly, Lord Mayors of Banjul and Kanifi Municipality, regional governors, members of the diplomatic and consular corps, representatives of international organizations and partners, political party leaders, government officials and service chiefs, community and religious leaders, fellow Gambians, boys and girls. Annually, we observe our National Day on the 18th February to renew our ties and commitments as a nation. It is an occasion that creates opportunities for solidarity, reflection, and redelegation to our motherland. As we celebrate Gambia's 50th independence anniversary today, let us therefore focus on our common futures as Gambian citizens instead of our differences. We are compelled to coexist as Gambians and should accept the wisdom and necessity of living together in peace and harmony to develop our homeland despite our diverse opinions and interests. Fortunately, our differences can be harmonized by democracy. As a political system and a social process, in our family systems, communities, institutions, organizations, and the nation at large. For this reason, the theme for my address this year is democracy, a recipe for peace and development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, democracy allows us to consult, dialogue, negotiate, compromise, and accommodate dissent. It is a system that rejects injustice, inequality, suppression, dictatorship, and autocracy. In addition, it promotes rights, freedoms, procedures, and regulations. In the Gambia, as Democrats, we maintain the supremacy of the Constitution and the rule of law, with due regard accorded to our diversity. Convinced that democracy is a framework to attain peace, development, and stability, my government is duly committed to good governance and trained in the principles of democracy. We believe in democracy for peace and development, as well as democracy for self-determination, economic growth, and protection of human dignity. In brief, we believe in inclusive democracy for inclusive development and stability. In our model of democracy, the government legitimately derives its mandate and authority from the people and hence must defend their values and principles, beliefs and practices, aspirations and social structures. In this way, there is harmony between the government and the people. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our National Day is a reminder for us to showcase our patriotism and loyalty as proud Gambians who are willing to accommodate one another. To this end, my government is determined to unite the people, to work together for peace and development, and leave behind durable achievements. Our governance approach and development initiative illustrates our commitment to democracy and how we have successfully used it as a development model. Ladies and gentlemen, 2022 was a challenging year. It confronted us with rising living costs and hiking prices of fuel, influenced by the global crisis. This reduced the ability of households to fulfill their basic needs and responsibilities. Conscious of the responsibilities of the state and to deliver on our promise to stabilize prices, my government will strive to ease the accompanying hardship imposed on the people. We took various steps to lower the price of fuel, which has implications on business transactions and the price of commodities. We will continue to monitor the public institutions and work with the private sector to maximize their contributions to national development and to improve living standards in the country. Fellow Gambians, distinguished guests, boys and girls, although we have made numerous inroads into institutional and infrastructural development, we are eager to do a lot more. We have broken new frontiers in providing electricity, yet we are keener today to reach and serve all parts of the country better. We have expanded healthcare provision and improved the health sector. But our desire is to have a healthy nation wherein life expectancy equals the best in other parts of the world. The targets for these aspirations are embodied in the new 5-year recovery-focused development plan and Vision 2050. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in all genuine democracies like ours, there are adequate checks and balances to prevent unlawful actions. The law provides a level playing field for all citizens. As such, living by the law ensures that we do not offend anyone and thereby coexist in peace and harmony. In this sense, peace must imply living in a safe environment where lives and property are protected, and hunger, poverty, and disease do not cause any suffering. Through our thoughts and actions, peace must also filter through to every segment of our communities, families, and institutions. Our national agenda, as defined in the new development plan and Vision 2050, outlines how to recover from the effects of the pandemic, inflation, and climate change. These documents also map our routes to attain our national goals and targets. We must work hard, however, and look into the future with guided optimism and readiness to overcome challenges. Unlike natural disasters, we have full control over the choice to act in a civil and democratic manner to maintain peace and develop our country together. Thus, let us make a conscious choice to demonstrate that we are indeed the smiling cause of West Africa and a democratic nation of peace, especially during the forthcoming local government elections. Distinguished personalities, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, peace, stability, and development go together. Hence, a common characteristic of the strongest nations is stability. They have overcome the fear and incidents of instability, particularly through military takeovers and unconstitutional uprisings. In contrast, conflicts and military takeovers persistently hinder Africa's development. Often sections of a nation rejoice when there is a military takeover, but it is always short life. The people must rise against the horrors of wars, conflicts, and unrest, beginning with the gallant citizens in uniform. We have noted that in recent years, the elite in African armies have stayed away from unconstitutional actions. This should now filter down to all ranks within every army on the continent. As we did in 2016, there are legal and democratic and constitutional ways of removing unpopular governments. So there is no wisdom in choosing paths that lead to unrest and destruction. As we internally manage the affairs of our dear nation, we must also look inward with more patriotic vigor and unite to strengthen internal security. Recent reports of armed robbery, starving, and such unfamiliar brutal acts of cowardice in our society threaten national security. I call on the general public to step up, neighborhood, watch networks, and be more vigilant. Criminal acts leading to injury and loss of lives are unacceptable and will not be tolerated. At the institutional level, my government will continue its capacity enhancement efforts for the security sector to competently handle and decisively prevent such deadly crimes. Looking ahead, the younger generations will appreciate us better if we construct a future of comfort, peace, and happiness for them. This is what democracy offers. Boys and girls, my government continually refers to education as a priority and will never cease exploring ways of ensuring that, in the long term, we have a literate and sufficiently skilled population. Education is the key to development, and the more adequately trained and skilled citizens we have, the greater our chances are to lift the country out of ignorance, poverty, and ill health. As school children, boys and girls, you have always played a significant role during our independence anniversary celebrations. I urge you to take your participation beyond the morning parades. Reflect on the significance of the day among yourselves and strive to become a new breed of democratic citizens. Like every responsible parent and citizen, I advise you to work hard at school. Love your country and endeavor passionately to contribute to its development. Be law-abiding, grab the technologies and opportunities before you, and never despair of success. This is an era of knowledge, technology, and seeking evidence-based solutions to challenges. Beware of these and be mindful of the consequences of your actions. Wherever you may be proud of your birthland and its people. Always feel proud to say, I am an African and a true Gambian. Because all that glitters is not gold. Do not be deceived by the distractions you may come across. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot mention the school children without reference to the teaching fraternity as a major partner in development. Teaching is a noble profession, and teachers influence character formation and shape society. Learners excel in educational institutions because of the processes teachers manage therein. Accordingly, my government is interested in the performance of our students as it is in the welfare of the teachers. As a result, I call on our teachers and all those in public service to always pursue the path of dialogue in handling their concerns. My government has an open door policy and will engage with its workers to reach amicable and realistic compromises on matters affecting their welfare. We appreciate and thank the teachers, the school children and their parents, the security services, the participating organizations, and all those who have contributed to the success of this celebration. The security services have made the occasion lively and joyful. We appreciate and thank them most sincerely. Likewise, I am thankful to the friends and partners of the nation for their support and contributions to the welfare of the people. Indeed, I deeply appreciate all those who have turned out today to celebrate the day with us, and I congratulate everyone present and the entire population on this joyous occasion. As we leave this venue, let us remember that in the true spirit of democracy is embedded the recipe for peace, development, and stability. Similarly, in solidarity and hard work lie our economic growth, success, and prosperity. To succeed, we must unite. I wish you all a very happy independent anniversary celebration. God bless the Gambian nation. I thank you for your kind attention.
Well, that was His Excellency, the President of the Republic, President Adama Barrow. They are delivering his independence address, to Gambians. He has delivered a quite powerful address there, talking on diverse areas from security, democracy, inflation, and all those stuffs. As far as his government is concerned. You've heard from the President, Uncle Tijan. He talked about the importance of people living in unity and harmony for the development of this country. He talked about having a citizens who are law-abiding. He talked about the challenges that his government has faced in 2022. He talked about its inflation, the hike in the cost of living, and he virtually talked about a lot. Security, military takeover. What's your take on his address?
I think I would want to think that Julius saw that speech before she came in. Because I think we touched on every aspect that the president was. But as a public speaker, this is the best I've heard him speak. Yeah. This was out of the ballpark. He delivered a very coherent speech, and the execution was phenomenal. Now, there are things that he said that I picked up. To succeed, we must unite. Exactly. I think we talked about that here all day.
You really emphasized.
And the president has reiterated that. He talked about reflection and rededication. Focus on our common futures instead of our differences. That is profound. Mus nañu anda tuñ am waaye mus nañu bokka tuñ amul te lu musa am. I think that is exactly the message the president is trying to send there, that we are one people, like it says in our national anthem. He talked about peace and harmony, and also accommodating dissent. We talked about that here, that we can disagree to agree. Commitment to good governance. He's talked about his commitment to good governance and that of his government. Now, if he's to be graded, recently he met all the check marks to get into the Millennium Challenge account.
Yeah, that's the US program.
Now, inclusive democracy for inclusive development. I think that was profound too. He talked about showcasing patriotism. And we talked about that here today. And like you said, he came to the people today and took responsibility of inflation, of the high cost of living. He was a president. That's what leaders do. Took responsibility and said they will find mechanisms to improve living standards of the people. More so, restoring hope.
Indeed, restoring hope. Julia, you have heard from the president. He talks about, Uncle just mentioned the issue of the high cost of living and what his government, how concerned his government is and his readiness to address the issue. Were you expecting to elaborate more as to what concrete steps is his government going to take to address the issue of high living cost? Certainly, it's not limited only to Gambia. We have to be honest here. The impact of the COVID-19 and, of course, the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, the impact is not only just limited to the country, it's a general phenomenon. But were you expecting to have you mentioned concrete actions or steps that his government will take?
Most definitely, I was. But I must admit that I was impressed with his speech for the fact that he admitted, as the head of state, that there is a problem and we need to fix it. There is a problem when it comes to inflation. There is a problem when it comes to the economy of the Gambia. And he admitted that the crime rate of the country is high. Armed robbery and all those crimes are high. He admitted the fact that the electricity in this country, they are really working so hard to make sure that it is stable electricity and water, and also to make sure that provide healthcare services in this country, which he admitted. So I like that, but I also was expecting as a head of state to tell us the concrete steps that they're going to do to address these things. We know that, of course, the Gambia, when it comes to the economy, Gambia at 58 right now, our national debt to GDP is at 81.0%, and our debt to national debt is currently at 1.84 billion, is expected to be at 1.84 billion US dollars in 2027. And right now, currently, our debt to national GDP is $1.66 billion from $1.58 billion in 2022. So that is a huge, that is a high number, that is a high figure. So how are we going to address that as a country? Of course, we know that COVID-19 has been here. We know that Russia-Ukraine war has been here. And of course, right now, the Turkey and Syria earthquake, it will also affect the country directly or indirectly. So, I mean, all these things the country is grappling with. And of course, when it comes to organized crime, according to Global Organized Crime Index, the country is at 4.83% right now. And of course, it is ranked 100 out of 123 countries. And of course, in Africa, we are at 33. And in West Africa, we are in 13. So that shows that it's a high figure. We are making progress, but it's really high, and we would have loved to actually come and then address that. But we are in the right direction as a country for the fact that we are able to identify a problem, that of course there is a problem. After 58 years of independence, we registered progress, but we still have a lot more to do as a country.
Certainly, Uncle, I mean, he talked on the theme of the celebration, democracy, a recipe for peace and development. I mean, certainly, where there's democracy, there is freedom. And it is often said, where there are rights, it comes with responsibilities. He talks about the issue of abiding by the dictates of the law. In as much as, we are given the freedom and the democracy to express ourselves. That was quite powerful. Let's have the national anthem, Uncle, then we'll go.
Make us or break us as a country, because it's very important. Looking at the parliamentary election and all that transpired, and of course we know that the president swept the polls during the last elections, but then, you know, looking at the parliamentary elections and now the local government elections, it's a very important moment, because these councils are working directly with the people. They are the ones that will address the concerns and the plights of the people. So that is why the local government election is important. So for the president to come on board on a day like this, to talk about peace, to talk about harmony, for us to be together, for us to see the Gambia. I think here it's about the Gambia, you know, for the people to see the Gambia first before anything else. Politics comes and goes, but people stay, and Gambia is here to stay. So if whatever we do, you know, the repercussion we will face it. We've seen in the 2016 presidential election, you know, others were going, and of course there are a few Gambians that left the country, but majority of the Gambians stayed, because this is where we belong, this is our home. We have nowhere else to go. So that is why it's important for, in as much as it's politics, you know, it's important for people to really put the country first in whatever we are doing, so that, you know, we know that it will come and go, but then the country stays, and we are all, you know, they are all there, I want to believe, for the development of the country. They are all vying for their various positions to promote, you know, peace, democracy, and the development of this country. So if that is anything to go by, I don't see any reason why we should find ourselves in chaos or in problems or do things that are not really in the interest of the nation.
Thank you very much, Julie. Uncle Nala engage rek denga president Mr. Kadambi wana lu bari wana si wali, you know, security, you know, democracy, wali dundin bi ser bi ak yoy nonu wana si wali yipi ngane moneka multi take over bi yag nga cover independence for over decade. I mean, lenga jangat si wahi president bi.
Lima jàngat mooy ne tey président dafa ñëw wone ne mooy ndey réew mi dafa ñëw waxtaan ak réew mi ci texa yi nga xam ne moo nekk ci kanami réew mi mu nangu ne dundin gi metti na waaye nguuram dinañ def seen coobare pour enni ko loolu dafa am solo waxtaan na it liñ fi wax rek mus nañoo àndaatuñ am na waaye mus nañoo bokkaatuñ amul kaddu googu suma ambassadeur ma ko joxoon Essa Bokar Si mu ne ma mus nañoo àndaatuñ am na waaye mus nañoo bokkaatuñ amul foog naa président waxtaan na ci loolu ndax jàmm mooy yóbbu réew kanam te ñun dañ yàgg bokk dañ yàgg doon réew moo xam ne réew yi ñu wër dañ ñu ñe ci éwénal mbokk gi ak dëkkandoor bi loolu lu ñu war a sàmm la loolu lu ñu war a jaamu la ndax suñuy maam ñoo ko fi saal mu war a continuer ndey réew mi laal na loolu te it dégg naa mu wax jël sa réew def ko ci sa xol bugga sa réew li nga xam ne mooy sa élève ci réew mi yow it nga def ko loolu am na solo lool comme ni nga ko waxee rek wax na yëfi luwaa bi loolu moom xam naa tey ñi nekk Banjul yëpp ci réew mi bu ñu déggee loolu dinañ ci jëlee kontaante ndax doo laxee ñu ne sàcc gi métti na xale yu jigéen yi duñ génnee guddi yi ñu ngi buddi seen kawar yi di jël seen téléphone yi bon tey président ñëw na dëgëral ne yoon moo am ci réew mi te yoon la ñoo teral la ñoo teg te lépp dinañ ko jaarale ci yoon suñuy maam nag ba ñu jëlee réew mi ci manko ak yoon lañ ko tegoon moo tax tey kàddu yim daaneel mu gën a am solo waaye yi ma ci gën a jëlee mooy ne nangu na ni njiit ni ndey réew ne ca dëgga moos dundin gi métti na waaye dinañ def suñ këtt naayam kattan pour yenni leen mu gën a oyof ci nit ñi loolu am na solo trop oote pour ñu nekk benn nekk jàmm waxit ne duñ d'accord ci lu ne du ci lu nekk la ñoo ànd waaye benn tey mun nañoo ñàkk a ànd ci dara waaye ñu liggéeyal réew mi foog naa ne yooyu yëpp lu am solo la léegi moom li ci des rek mooy lim fi daanal tey yëpp ci kàddu ñu ñaan yàlla mu eggali ko ndax bu eggee réew mi jëm kanam dundin gi yomba jàmm ji neex ci réew mi ñun ñëpp ñu ànd nañu yàlla suñu borom boole ñu doon benn bokk.
am na feena fu mu laal fu am solo wana si fi military take over bi parce que soo xoolee West Africa bi coup d'état yaa ngi bari am nga moo nekk ñu dee jël gànnaay rek bëgg a wécc ci nguur ci force wane lii nekk na loo xam ne c'est constant in the sub-region parce que waaye warta am démocratie lañ wax so foog naa change of government dafa war a nekk to the ballot box.
te moom sa loolu la nekk di waxoon.
What do you think, what sort of a message do you think the president is trying to send across here?
I think it's not kind of easy to read in between the lines, but if I follow you guys, the news, there is a trial currently going on that, allegations of a plan to topple his government, and he is coming today with that as a backdrop to say it is unconstitutional, it is illegal, and the best way to change a government that doesn't perform is through the ballot box. Of course, military takeovers are unlawful. Particularly we are in a democratic dispensation, and it keeps happening in Africa, unfortunately, but it's unconstitutional. It is. And the president highlighted that in his address. And not only the president has highlighted that. Wherever there is a military takeover or attempted, the entire political framework have rules to condemn it, or any act of unconstitutional means to seize a government. Alaji Said used to say Sasai.
Exactly. I mean, he also spoke on the issue of the upcoming local government election about the need for people to have a peaceful coexistence despite our difference in what party we support. I mean, for the peace and progress of this country. Often than not, I mean, people tend to blame the party leaders themselves for not, spearheading some of this campaign for a peaceful coexistence because of what you heard from supporters on the social media here and there. What role do you think the party leaders can play as far as ensuring we have a peaceful election in April and May?
Personally, I would think that every party leader should bear in mind that after the elections, after the votes are counted, regardless.
So I understand my colleague Ansumana Esonyasi, who is in Banjul right now, is speaking to the Inspector General of Police, Abdullah Sanyang. Let's take a listen, Ansumana.
So that's the message for everybody. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's my colleague there, Ansumana Esonyasi, who was speaking to the Inspector General of Police, Abdullah Sanyang. I know we will try to get more interviews from him. Ansumana is in Banjul together with Bachen and Abdul Sise, and they're giving us those beautiful drone shots you are saying from the capital, Banjul. Yes, Uncle.
Like I said, after the elections are over, the votes are counted. It doesn't change who we are. We are still Gambians. If we're on the soccer team, the Gambia national team, we voted in for different parties, and we have an international assignment. Who are we representing?
The Gambia.
We are still Gambians. And I think that is the driving message here. Regardless of our political differences, we are Gambians. And, you know, I know the political leadership in this country are very responsible people. And, you know, there is no doubt that each and every one of them love this country. And I am sure that they will do their utmost to make sure our elections are conducted, you know, the way that it has traditionally been conducted in this country. And, you know, peace and stability that we are known for the world over will prevail. I don't think we should make it an issue, quite frankly. It should just be another election. Of course, tensions will be high. But at the end of the day, for the Gambia, our homeland, we strive and work and pray that all may live in unity. Those words are key.
Exactly. Today, you've also heard him talk about the importance of education. He admonished his school-going children to, you know, to be determined, to focus on their education, to be loyal citizens, and of course, you know, he emphasized the important role that teachers play. But he has also, you know, used his address to urge on parents to, you know, be responsible as parents. I mean, in terms of the role of parents and teachers, what's your take?
I think that's an important point there, because parents and teachers are the driving forces of any nation. They are there to, you know, build, nurture, mold, and of course guide these children in their journey. When we are young, we expect our parents to be there for us, to help us. And our teachers are, of course, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they are the most important civil servants in any country, because they are the ones who, you know, taught the ministers, the presidents, the doctors, the lawyers, the journalists. So they are very, very important. Their role cannot be underestimated. As such, yeah? Yes, Uncle, I saw you nodding.
She just reverted to that song, Gambia Signore. Teacher, you know, jungle lawyer, minister.
Exactly.
But you just took the key point there. The role of parent and teachers, it is a team. It starts from the home. That's where we start teaching before they get to the teacher. And that is why you have parent-teacher associations. Everything begins from the home. And teachers, parents need to be involved in their kids' education. It's extremely important. From time to time, reach out to a teacher. How is he doing? Vice versa also. You know, like, I think in the States they call it parent-teacher conference. You know. But it is a unique partnership.
Well, viewers, it's been quite interesting here at QTV. Thank you very much, Uncle Tijan Masan Sise, for coming on the program. We quite appreciated. Jërëjëf si li nga ñëw pour fekkee li nga moo nekk this special broadcast.
I have learned so much.
Indeed. Oh. No, I mean, nii la yàgga mel. I mean, ñun nga xam ne yàgg nañoo deal ak moom. I mean, even bu mu nekkee US he always reach out xam nga dañu teete dañu jàngal lu bari di la ñaanal rek yàlla may la gudd fan ak wér gu yaram nga yàgg dañu jàngal. We really appreciate it te xam naa ne képp kam yaa ngi di seetaan QTV tey ñu bari jàng na si lu bari te ñu bari nga xam ne ñu ngi doon dégg Tidiane Massane Cissé tey ñëw fii nii ñëpp xam ne ok kii moo nekk Tidiane Massane Cissé di la gërëm di la sant once more again pour bàyyi sa soxla yëpp ñëw bokk ak ñun plateau bi am nga xooloo suñu age waaye da nga nangu pour ñëw bokk ak ñun si platform bi nii. Thank you so much, Uncle, once again for coming on the program.
It's been an honor and a privilege, and I must commend you too. Today I see the decency of Gambian journalism is bright. The talent, the know-how, the organization, the coherence was fantastic. And I leave you with this. They may throw shades at you. Never ever give up. Work continues. There's more that needs to be done. And God willing, with you all, the future leaders of this country, we will get there. It is an honor. And God willing, I look forward to be back sometime when I'm around again.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Uncle Tijan. And Jude, thank you so much for being on the program. It's always a pleasure sharing such platforms with you.
Definitely.
She's awesome.
Yes, indeed.
She's awesome.
And on behalf of the production team, our executive producer, Lassana Tunkara, Alu Jallo, M. Jallo, Keba Cole, Tres Korea, Buf Balde, Ibrahima Balde, and Mustafa Kinte, and of course our crew in Banjul, my colleague and very good friend Ansumana Eso Nyasi, Bashchen and Abdul Sise. We thank you so much for watching this broadcast. I was your host, Aliu Sise. Up next, we have interviews that we conducted relating to the independence. Just stay tuned, and up next, we're going to play those interviews. Bye-bye, and have a wonderful day. Happy independence once more.